Hello, hello, and welcome to the NintenGems podcast, everybody. My name is Connor, and here today I am joined with...
Brayden, the other co-host.
Isn't that weird? Role reversal.
I know, this is your first time kind of getting that intro in, huh? How'd that feel?
Weird.
Yeah, it sounded a little weird, but you'll get it next time. You'll get it better next time.
We'll see.
Yeah, welcome to NintenGems, the Nintendo podcast where we talk about Nintendo games, both new and old.
Yes, that part's important to get in there. Yes, the holidays have come and gone. The Christmas season has passed us by. We've all got new games, new things to play with. Not a ton new on the Nintendo front necessarily for the holiday season. Like a little dry relatively compared to like normal, I guess, you know?
Yeah, we got a direct there, kind of mid-December, I think, and...
Yeah, like the partner showcase.
Right, and then a little bit of content that we're going to be talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, December was a little dry, but we'll just call it our vacation month.
Yeah, we'll take it slow, and hopefully 2021 will bring new surprises swiftly.
Oh, you know they will, both from us and Nintendo. We're excited to bring NintenGems back full swing in 2021.
Yes. So, one of those new things that has happened recently, pretty big deal, revealed at the Game Awards earlier this month, is the reveal of Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII as a new character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, part of the second Fighter's Pass.
Yes, highly anticipated.
Kind of, dare I say, very out of the blue.
Who, like the fact that it's Sephiroth or the Fighter Pass? Like a new fighter?
Oh, new fighter, definitely expected. You remember back at the Game Awards in 2018 was when they first revealed that they were doing the first Fighter Pass, and it was the Joker reveal. And then it was interesting that last year, 2019, there was no character reveal, which people thought they were going to do it again. But then we had it again this year.
Yeah.
So I guess we were all a little hopeful, but it was hard to like expect it wholesale.
Yeah.
And definitely not a character like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My big prediction was Doom Guy from Doom, because the same night they were announcing Doom Eternal to be released on the Switch, and to me that made the most sense. That was what really tracked in my head, but I don't really know anybody that was thinking Sephiroth.
Definitely, if you were on Twitter in the gaming sphere that day, then it was all abuzz with Jones from Fortnite.
Oh, that's so right.
Yeah.
Why was that? Was it a new season? I think a new season of Fortnite was starting.
Yeah, new season. I don't know. I mean, new season Fortnite was getting a lot of buzz. I think Fortnite also said they were making an announcement. They were teasing, tweeting big things, and Nintendo was also tweeting, teasing that they were revealing a new fighter that day. And I think people were trying to put two and two together. And I mean, frankly, like after Minecraft, Steve, I don't think Fortnite is entirely out of the question yet.
Yeah, I would not say so either.
Like, comparably, like one of the more popular games ever, let alone right now.
Yeah, I mean, with Nintendo reaching for the stars with Microsoft, you know, another huge branded partnership, to me wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. It's funny, before we started recording, we were discussing whether Sora would be next.
Yeah.
And we, neither of us really saw Nintendo partnering with Disney on Smash.
I mean, it's hard because they keep pushing the envelope. The sky continues to be the limit. But I do think Disney might be a little out of reach.
Mandalorian for Smash?
I don't know. Heck, I don't know. But regardless...
Baby Yoda for Smash.
There we go. That's more like it. We did not get Jones or Doom Guy, the guy from Doom. We got Sephiroth, which I think is a very, very appropriate announcement for the Game Awards, because Sephiroth is a very, very iconic character across video games and is like in a way sort of like a desired character for the Smash roster. And I think anybody and everybody watching the Game Awards recognized Sephiroth. Like,
that's true.
It's very much like a crowd pleaser, I feel like.
Right. I do think it's interesting, just, again, kind of from a marketing perspective, we're talking Fortnite, we're talking Doom Guy. They re-released Final Fantasy VII on PS4.
Remade.
Yeah,
like the remake.
Entire beautiful new lifelike graphics.
Basically, like it's an entirely new game.
Yes.
Like they're pretty much rebooting Final Fantasy VII as a property, practically.
I'm glad you clarified that. But it missed the Switch, is kind of my point.
Right.
They ported the original Final Fantasy VII from the PlayStation over to the Switch, which
with not much aplomb.
Yeah.
Like, it's on there, but it's also on everything else.
I've been wanting to play it. I've never played it before in my life, which
Same.
is embarrassing and a travesty.
A little bit.
Hey,
it's not our fault that it hasn't been on Nintendo yet.
Right, we're just little Nintendo boys.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get to it, and I want to play it. But I'm just curious to see if Final Fantasy VII remake.
It's literally called Final
remake?
Fantasy VII Remake, which is just the worst title.
It is, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it somehow. Not looking quite as good, perhaps. But
on the Switch,
do you not think so? Do you? Ooh, what about I hate to even mention it in such a casual way, but a Switch Pro announcement.
That's kind of where my mind immediately went to. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's in the cards. I think purely property wise, Nintendo and Final Fantasy have a good relationship, but I think it just is too much for the Switch to handle graphically, hardware wise.
Sure.
It's just one of those next gen games.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe we've got Doom Eternal on the Switch.
Right.
Who's to say?
They're trying to expand their AAA compatibility.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But so Sephiroth, as far as in Smash is concerned, he's fun. He's great. I think he's a great addition. It's cool to have another villain in the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back when leading up to the release of Smash, there were a lot of the new fighters they were announcing for it, for the base game, were villains like Ridley and King K. Rool.
Mm-hmm.
And people felt ooh, this is going to be a cool good versus evil theme going on, and that didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
But this is the first villain addition we've had in any of the DLC. It's also very important. Final Fantasy is a huge, important property, franchise, identity in video games. Huge, historic. Everybody knows Final Fantasy, but the only Final Fantasy representation we had in Smash was Cloud, and he had his one stage and 2 music tracks. That was it.
Uh-huh.
Not even any spirits.
Wow. I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah, truly not a thing. And part of that was just Square Enix. The publishers of Final Fantasy are just very tight-gripped with Final Fantasy. So, needless to say, I feel Sephiroth and all the spirits, all the music he added, and the new stage and stuff, it adds a lot of much-needed Final Fantasy representation into the game. It felt weird for a long time with Dragon Quest being more representative of Final Fantasy. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Didn't Final Fantasy start on the NES?
Yeah, exactly, right.
It was born on Nintendo.
Yeah, there's definitely an established relationship there, and there's a hole that needed to be filled with more Final Fantasy, and I'm glad we have it. And I guess honestly, there's not a more iconic character to choose from either to fill that void.
Yeah. So I have played as him. I kind of missed the Steve bus. When we talked about him, I didn't have much to contribute. But I've actually played as Sephiroth, and I would almost call him heavy. He's slow, but you argue with that? He's
slow, but he's very light. Mm-hmm. He's very launchable. He's kind of a glass cannon, sort of Mewtwo, sort of.
Sure, yeah.
He hits really hard. He's got a huge reach, which is Muramasa blade.
Yeah, Muramasa,
something like that. His 10 feet long katana.
Anime swordsman katana.
True. Well, and that's the thing is Sephiroth is the anime swordsman. Mm-hmm. Say what you want about all the Fire Emblem characters, all the the blue-haired anime sword guys we already have in the roster, all 8 of them. Sephiroth is the OG edgy anime sword guy.
With one wing.
One wing, baby. One-winged angel. Silver hair, emo-looking black leather, belt buckles all over him.
If it's not black leather, it's shirtless.
Yeah, and he's got a shirtless alternate costume. The OG. But yeah, he's got his huge sword, so he has probably comparable to the Belmonts, their whip. Very long range. Hits hard. He has an interesting sweet spot. All of his attacks, they hit hardest in the middle of the blade. So if you space them out right, then you can get very high knockback. Mm-hmm. But yes, he hits really hard, but he also flies pretty easily. And he's also very tall. He stands up very straight, which seems like a minor thing, but he's just like very easy to hit. He's like a big target kind of.
Yeah.
And in addition to all of his like huge sweeping sword attacks, he has some really interesting magic maneuvers. You had questions about his side B.
Yeah.
Right?
I wish I knew the names of those attacks.
Same.
Because both his standard B, like his special, and his side special have, what you said, they're essentially magic attacks, and definitely seem inspired from the games.
I think so. I mean, I wish we could vouch for that directly, having not played them.
Right. But his standard special, it's a long charge up attack that kind of takes on different forms the longer you charge it. And you kind of lob it out, it's a slow orb, and then it explodes and does massive damage.
Yeah. I think it's cool that it always explodes no matter what. Like it can't
How long you've charged it?
Yeah, like it can't like really be like interrupted once it's out. But the side B is like where to visualize, it's like it's also a charge move. You hold down the button to charge it, and it shoots like a straight horizontal line out, like in
like Mewtwo's side B as well.
Down B.
Down B. Casual.
There you go. So yeah, it shoots like a horizontal thing, like in a snap, it's instant, and the longer you charge it, the further it goes. And when you hit an opponent with it, they start being surrounded by these dark orbs that like kind of like swirl around them, and the longer you charge it, the more surround the opponent when you hit them, up to 5. Sort of like Mega Man has this move that shoots like a sticky bomb to an opponent, and it explodes after a little while automatically, like 5 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can block that explosion. You can dodge it when it explodes and time that right. And same for these. Like these like orbs that are going around you, they shoot inwards towards you after like 3 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
The more that you have, the more damage it does. Can be like they have a really high knockback. Like they're pretty devastating. And what's even more interesting is like they swirl like around your character, and other fighters can be hit by them while they're swirling.
Oh, interesting. I guess I haven't played in a group match to where that's affected anything. I've only done one-on-ones and stuff, but that's an interesting concept.
It's a very cool move. Like I think you can be really creative with it and like apply like a lot of pressure to opponents, even in like one-on-one. And then of course, standard anime swordsman fare, he has a counter as his down B.
Yeah.
Because fine.
It's a pretty counter.
It's a cool counter. It is one-sided. You can only
okay.
Yeah, it's like that little like shield he puts up is only on the front. And his up special, his up B is interesting to me because it's kind of a typical Fox's up B, Ridley's up B, characters that have one where you choose a direction and just kind of like shoot towards that direction. He has one of those. It's got a few different properties. It's a little standard, but what's most interesting to me, and it's very subtle, is it has an arrow for the direction you're going.
Really?
And I can't
like a visual arrow that you can see?
Yeah, that like moves around whichever way you hold, which I cannot tell you how many times I've played a Zelda and like used the up B teleport and like teleported under the stage on accident because I was holding 1 degree the wrong direction.
Right.
You know?
And you
so you can like tell where you're going.
Yeah,
it was all I'm saying.
You want that arrow for everybody.
Yeah, kinda. Like it would be. It's a little hard because I guess your opponent can see it too, and like it's a little hard to like do fake outs and fakes and stuff. But like it's so useful.
I wonder. I want to play Final Fantasy VII now, and like whether Sephiroth has some kind of dash attack that telegraphs that way. I don't know.
I don't know.
Like that's so strange that they would add that visually.
Yeah. You're right. It might be like a throwback of some kind to a callback to the games, the Final Fantasy games in some capacity. But I want to have faith that it's just like a convenience thing that they're just like learning.
Yeah.
How to make it easier to play.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's a general rundown of what's going on with them.
Can you get him to Elite Smash? Is that?
Oh yeah. Are
you gonna?
Oh yeah, and I've gotten a few. I think I'm up to like 15 now.
Dang.
Characters in Elite Smash, which is not. I mean, there are now 80 characters in Super Smash Bros. That's a lot.
That's insane.
I've got a ways to go, but my conquest does continue.
Any possible guesses for who the next fighter could be? Travis Touchdown.
He has a Mii costume. He got a Mii costume with the last one.
You're right.
Which is fine. I'm glad they did something. Kind of. I would have loved him to be a character. I do love No More Heroes. But yeah, I don't know. Steve was obviously like a new high, like as for like as far as they're willing to go. But Sephiroth, I feel like, was not a lateral movement. I feel like it
was still progress.
Yeah, it shows that they know that there's still a lot of potential to mine in like legacy characters, like iconic gaming characters, like back when we were getting like Banjo and Terry and stuff, you know?
Sure.
That it doesn't have to be Fortnite.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have to be the cool new thing. It can still be like old characters that still make a splash.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm honest. I mean, I have my hopes. I have people that are missing that I still want in.
Yeah.
But
who would your number one pick be? Do you have a number one pick?
Dark Souls, Chosen Undead.
Really?
Yes. And I think it's possible.
There's a moveset for him?
There's a move. Oh, yeah. And
that's not Byleth?
Insofar as like Sephiroth's not Byleth.
Sephiroth kind of is Byleth. So.
Well, then let's get another Byleth in there.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I think at this point it's iconic enough to warrant representation.
Sure. No, I'm not arguing that. It's just purely the moveset and whether, like, valuable contribution to...
To me, a good Smash character edition has three things. It has the surprise value, it has the legacy, and, like, it fills a hole that otherwise would have been in the Smash roster, and they're unique and fun to play. Yeah. And I do think a Dark Souls rep, whatever that would look like, could do all of those.
All right.
I think. That's my normal pie in the sky one. I do think Crash and like Spyro and even Master Chief maybe. But I don't know. I could go on and on about potentials. Is there anybody that like sticks out for you?
Skull Kid has always been my favorite. I mean, there's just no chance for him. Like
costume.
I don't think Skull Kid will ever be as popular as he once was, and therefore probably won't make it into Smash, and that's okay. Whatever.
I do have one pie in the sky prediction for a character who I think could even be a good Mii costume, and that would be Arl from Puyo Puyo, an iconic and essential puzzle game series that is uber popular in Japan and like has a good following here in the States too, and
good following, quote unquote.
But I mean,
I'm kind of kidding.
Right. Well. So Sephiroth in the books, our game that we are going to be talking about for this episode, surprise, surprise, is Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, which just released earlier this month as well. And Arl is the main character of the Puyo Puyo series, and we just got a sequel to a relatively niche, kind of obscure puzzle game.
All right.
Like a major sequel to a release, and not even just for Nintendo consoles, it's for all platforms.
Yeah.
So I think Arl has a chance.
Connor was very keen on picking up this new puzzle game, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
Yes.
He had the first one and loved it, and it's my knowledge kind of starts and ends with Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yes.
But yeah, what you got for us?
A lot. So, Puyo Puyo Tetris is a crossover puzzle game. There is a puzzle series called Puyo Puyo, and then there's obviously Tetris that we are all familiar with. I feel like most people, including me, consider it like the perfect video game. It's the one that anybody can play. Literally anybody on Earth can play. It's like practically the basis for video games. I feel like, everybody knows Tetris. But yes, it's a crossover puzzle game. It's a great party game. It's like 4-player, and you like play competitively against other people. Before I launch into like what makes the crossover work and what makes the sequel to a crossover work or not, Puyo Puyo, for the uninitiated, is a puzzle series that is mostly popular in Japan. It's got a lot of history to it. It has like a plot, sort of. It like has characters, and there's like dozens and dozens of sequels and entries that are mostly Japan only. We only got like a few in the States. One of them being, you may or may not know, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine for the Sega Genesis that we got over here in the States. Is just Puyo Puyo 2 reskinned with Dr. Robotnik and like Sonic characters. It's literally the same game, even...
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Also, Kirby's Avalanche for the Super Nintendo. is also just Puyo Puyo, but with Kirby characters.
Yeah, okay.
So we got these like weird localized sort of versions of the game. I don't know why they didn't just like bring the series identity as it is over here. But yeah, big historic series. It's a big deal. Obviously big enough to like cross over with Tetris in their own game.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay wise, to help you, the viewer, the listener, visualize, it's like Tetris. It's like a falling block puzzle game, except instead of blocks, it's little blobs of different colors called Puyos. They fall in pairs, and you turn the pairs around, kind of like Dr. Mario.
Yeah, rotate them vertically, horizontally.
Right, and you stack them, and the objective is to create matches of 4 like-colored Puyos. When 4 Puyos of the same color are adjacent to each other, they disappear. All of the Puyos are affected by gravity, so like when Puyos disappear, whatever is on top falls down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the objective mostly is to create chains where you make a quartet of Puyos, they disappear, and then the ones that fall into another quartet,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. You make chains, combos.
I can hear the noises now.
Yeah, right?
The...
It's very satisfying. The other very important and interesting thing about Puyo Puyo is that while Tetris started as like a single player experience, like you just kind of like go until you lose and it gets like faster and you kind of like try to get the high score.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until more recently that Tetris turned into like a competitive thing. You know, kind of like with Tetris 99 is the more contemporary example.
Yeah.
Puyo Puyo has always been competitive.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that adds up into like why I've seen it at arcades and stuff.
Definitely.
With 2 joysticks and, you know, pairs of buttons.
Right. Yeah, it's got a big competitive scene, which is why part of why it's so big in Japan is that like there's like tournaments and like people take it really seriously.
Uh-huh.
And since the beginning, like even in the first Puyo Puyo game, even the single player modes are played like against an AI every time.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is really it's what is part of why I love it so much. I think it's so fun is that you can play it against other people and like there's always in a way a fresh challenge every time as opposed to like Tetris, you just kind of like play Tetris.
Right.
The way competitively it works is you make those chains, those combos, and the bigger the chain, the more garbage Puyos you drop on your opponents.
Mm-hmm. Colorless garbage.
Yeah.
That can't be paired up.
Right, yeah. They the garbage Puyos have no color. You can't match anything with them, but those can disappear if you make a match adjacent to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you make a match of like 4 reds next to garbage Puyos, all of them will disappear. That's how you like kind of clear up your board.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this balancing act, this to and fro of making huge chains, putting a bunch of garbage Puyos on your opponents to interrupt their chain, interrupt like their like big combo they're setting up. It's so much fun. It's very addicting, very cool. It's my favorite puzzle game. I love it so much. I was so jazzed when Puyo Puyo Tetris 1 was announced. I thought it was so cool. Again, because the only Puyo Puyo game that wasn't like Mean Bean Machine or Kirby or like the only like Puyo Puyo franchise game we got in the States was Puyo Pop Fever for the GameCube.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I can picture the cover.
Like it has a unique like weird art style to it that's not like anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that was like their attempt to bring it here. It was like a weird reboot for the series itself too.
Yeah.
But they tried to bring it here. But so the fact that we got like a Puyo Puyo game in the US crossed over with Tetris, such a big deal in the US already, was a big deal to me. So excited. What Puyo Puyo Tetris does as a game, as a crossover game, you can play against other players. Competitive Tetris, if for those who don't know, works the same way. The lines of blocks you clear, the more blocks you send to your opponent. Same deal. Mm-hmm. In Puyo Puyo Tetris, you can play Puyo Puyo or Tetris against your opponent, who can also choose which one they're better at. You can play a mode called Swap, which is on like a 15-second timer. You play a Tetris and a Puyo Puyo board that swap every...
That's so crazy.
Like, it's chaotic as heck. And you can like carry over chains from one board to the other. There's a combination mode where Puyos and Tetris blocks fall on the same board. Mm-hmm. It's very crazy, very chaotic, a very fun party game, but also obviously great competitive puzzle fun for those that take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a single-player mode, has the Puyo story world characters that cross over with like new Tetris ones. Great game. Great, yeah, as a crossover and as a game, did justice to both properties.
Yeah, that's what I...
So much fun. And I played it a lot with people that not only don't know what Puyo Puyo is, but like aren't really gamers either.
Uh-huh.
Because it's got that Tetris thing, like everybody knows how to play Tetris. So I could...
Right.
Like, I'm pretty good at Puyo Puyo now. Like, I could play competitively, I think. But I could competently play it against, like, my very casual friends while they played Tetris.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, like, could be an even match sometimes.
Yeah.
Which made it's a very fun, very recommendable party game, I think. Anything you want to interject with before I go into the sequel that just came out?
No.
Or am I doing good so far?
You're doing great, and you're almost up to speed. You're almost to modern day.
Cool. All right, water. Naturally, it's hard to make a competent sequel to a puzzle game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because you have a formula.
You got the formula.
And it works.
Then what?
If it ain't broke, you ain't fix it.
Kinda. You continue the story.
Don't do that. It's a puzzle game.
It's a puzzle game. Story does not matter. Story is really bad. It's kind of like, like Street Fighter. We got like Street Fighter 4, and then there's Super Street Fighter 4, and then there's Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like add more characters and stuff as it goes, and like the mechanics sort of change. But ultimately, it feels like in 2020, those things could be like DLC or like patches to the game. It's kind of like that.
What's new in Puyo Puyo 2?
Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, thank you very much. Puyo Puyo 2 was released on the Sega Genesis.
Oh, gross. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So, the only things that are new, like it really doesn't even shake up any of the mechanics because the mechanics are decades old.
Yeah.
It adds a new mode called Skill Battle that is actually cool in concept. Each player has like an HP bar. It like kind of throws like some RPG elements in there and like almost some fighting game elements. Like you choose like a trio of characters that have like their own skills, their own like moves. And so you level up these characters and you have like this HP bar and you play against another person, obviously.
Yeah.
And the bigger your chains, the more damage you do to their HP. It's less about like survival and more about direct attacks.
Yeah.
And those special moves that your characters have can like arrange your board so that it's easier to make chains. It can like throw extra garbage onto your opponents. There have been other puzzle games that have done the similar things, like Puzzle Fighter.
Sure.
There was a competitive Tetris game on the Super Famicom in Japan called Tetris Battle Gaiden, which had a similar thing. Very cool game. NintenGems. We'll get to it someday.
Tetris Gaiden. I love it.
It's cool. But yeah, that's the main thing. And the story mode, there's a story mode. In the first Puyo Puyo Tetris, the story mode was very linear. In Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, it's the same thing.
I was about to say, what do you mean it's non-linear?
I mean,
they give you choices? Are you serious?
No, but there's a world map now.
Okay.
So it's like it gives you like the illusion of it.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain guy.
You can go left and do a bonus level, or you can go right to the next level.
Exactly. And like the bonus levels will unlock other characters that you can use other skills with, which is cool. And that skill battle pops up a lot in the story mode. The thing is, I haven't completed the story mode, and I haven't played a ton of the competitive modes even yet, like online necessarily. But to me, the skill battle mode doesn't really even seem like it works all that well. If you know how to play Puyo Puyo, you know how to make big chains relatively quickly, and it really doesn't take that many chains to drain an HP bar. Like, I don't even touch the special moves at all.
Interesting.
And granted, I haven't played on like a harder difficulty or anything. Maybe it can get like cool and intense. But thus far, I have not experienced too much of a challenge when it comes to that new mode. And honestly, the new story mode and the skill battle system, that's pretty much all that's new that's been added. It's a weird sequel in that, yes, it's not a great sequel because it doesn't add much, but now it's what you have to recommend because it really is just the first one, but with more.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in playing the first one anymore.
Well, but I was, if you're willing to let me kind of try and recap how you've laid all this out,
Go for it.
I'll try.
Godspeed.
But like Puyo Puyo Tetris as a concept, the mashup of these two internationally classic games, it works. It's good, and you should play it.
Absolutely.
How much is a copy of the first one for the Switch? How much is it to download? Probably $10, $20.
No.
So their marketing with the number 2 worked on you.
So, well, okay. Now speaking to the core gamer experience, I've done all my intro stuff. Mm-hmm. I've explained it lightly for all the family and friends back home. But so the problem with a game like this with a deep competitive scene is that it splits it up. Puyo Puyo Tetris came out 3-4 years ago when the Switch launched. Then a year or two later, a game called Puyo Puyo Champions came out, a digital-only title for the Switch that was truly, essentially, just the Puyo Puyo half of Puyo Puyo Tetris standalone release. Like, no story mode, only versus modes, and with an online focus, like a competitive focus.
Yeah.
You know? So that's where essentially the Puyo Puyo community flocked to, because that's now the
new supported standard.
Yeah, it's the new definitive experience. Mm-hmm. And now there's Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, which is still kind of just Puyo Puyo, but now the community's split.
Right.
You know? Like, there's this core Puyo Puyo experience in Puyo Puyo Champions. Now there's Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. When you play online, where are you gonna go?
Man,
it's a weird.
It's rough.
It is. It's a weird thing.
It's really rough.
And it's kind of like a problem that plagues some online communities of different games with sequels and stuff. You know? Splitting the community like that.
Melee?
Yeah. Nintendo knows. But yeah, I don't know. All that being said, it's just a weird, mostly lateral movement of a sequel, but as a game, it's absolutely worth playing for like literally anybody, I feel like. Whether you have a Switch or anything else, because it's on Xbox One and PS4 and stuff. If you want a fun like party game that you can play yourself and get like good at, if you want like a new fresh experience to have fun with and get invested in, like, it's addicting and fun. And if you want something that you can play with the most casual of gamers or the most experienced of ones, like on an equal playing field, it's pretty much for everybody. I would recommend it to anybody, truly.
That is cool. And how much is it $40?
It is $40, which is cheap for a Switch game too.
Yeah.
It might feel a little steep for like a puzzle game, but it's worth it.
And some people like get hours and days and weeks worth of gameplay out of puzzle games, and if that's you, this is a great pickup.
Yeah. Whew. So that's basically all that. Oh, one last little note I'll leave off on. Another weird lateral movement is like there's so much voice acting, and it's all it's all annoying. It's that Nintendo of American localization thing that I always talk about, where the voice acting is weird and cheesy, and they should just get actual actors for it. Yada yada. But it's the same, you can tell it's the same voice actors, but they are, you know how in a game like this, they'll reuse assets, understandably, and voice lines? Sure. It's the same voice actors saying the same lines, but are re-recording, and it's just like, where did your budget go? What resources did you use for this, and why is this a sequel?
Why would they, instead of saying Yowza, they could at least have him say Wahoo.
Yeah, like give me like something new to listen to, like a new angle on this character, like this robot character that I like to play as. He's in the first one, he's like battle mode engaged, and then in this new one, same actor, different direction, I guess. Battle mode engaged.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Give me like something new, or just reuse it. Like use those resources somewhere else. I don't know, man. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, get it. Ignore me.
Don't expect progress on the first game.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yes.
But get it, because it's the definitive experience, and you want to join the Puyo Puyo community on being caught up.
Listen to Braden. I'm just a seasoned, experienced, hardened gamer.
Puzzle gamer.
The best kind.
That's right.
Anyway, that's my spiel.
Well done. Do you want to get us out of here? That was a pretty solid episode. You know, I would call Puyo Puyo Tetris our gym of... in a way, this episode.
Yeah, I think that Puyo Puyo retrospective kind of like...
got the gym treatment.
Yeah, retroactively gemified every Puyo game. Because they're all kind of the same in their own way. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in to the NintenGems podcast. Be sure to follow and like the NintenGems podcast on all of your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've got it all. Subscribe to the actual podcast on whatever platform you're using at this moment. Spotify, Apple, whatever you got. Anything you need to plug before we dip?
Nah, but you just released some music.
I sure did. Yes, you may know me as the composer for this theme song. I also release actual music under the name Weave, W-E-A-V, and I just released a hit new double single, 2 tracks. Check it out on all...
That's what double single means. Oh.
Yeah.
Whatever they call it these days.
Sure, whatever the kids are into. Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you got, stream it, add it to your playlist, give me a like, give me a follow, please and thank you.
I also recommend.
The reviews are in. Critics agree.
Alright guys, well thank you so much again for listening. My name's Braden.
My name's Connor, or Weave.
And this has been NintenGems. We will see you next time.
I love you.